21 new state MPs, most of them political newcomers outside the Bavarian parliament. The Free Voters belong to an independent association with a colorful membership. Whether farmer, doctor, or singer, they all have one goal: to change Bavarian politics. Most are virtual unknowns and barely know each other. Their overnight success has shaken up Bavaria's political establishment, and even the media aren't quite sure how to deal with this bold new force in state politics.
As policymakers for Bavaria, we have a clear mandate from the voters. Regardless of whether we're singers or doctors, we'll do our duty.
The roots of the Free Voters lie here in the Bavarian countryside, where traditional values are still important. This is Hubert Aiwanger's world. A farmer, Aiwanger has been head of Bavaria's Free Voters since 2004. He's proud to be a farmer who is also a politician. He says he's the direct opposite to the CSU politicians who have forgotten their roots.
You can be a farmer, middle class, conservative in your values, and still not belong to the CSU. I think the CSU has to learn there are traditionalist currents and areas outside the CSU, and maybe they should ask themselves why people voted for us. It's because they simply no longer served these voters, they disappointed them. That's why the Free Voters have become so strong.
So strong that Aiwanger and the other Free Voters are looking beyond Bavaria's borders.
If we target our energy and devote enough resources and personnel, then I'm convinced we can achieve a respectable result during the next German general election.
It used to be that almost every Bavarian voted CSU, but Aiwanger and his Free Voters have changed that. Politically, they're very similar to the CSU, traditionalist, down-to-earth, with a large rural base. But the Free Voters are ideologically uncommitted, leading some to call them the modern CSU. Aiwanger doesn't object to that label.
Certainly we come from this territory where the CSU used to be strong, which it covered entirely. That's where we're now gathering our votes, getting our clientele, and bringing in modern ideas. Our job is to find pragmatic approaches to the problems average people face, not become caught up in party structures.
Aiwanger's critics say his simple answers sound suspiciously like populist rhetoric. But Aiwanger says he's just giving the people what they want. He says politicians shouldn't impose things on their citizens that they don't want, like GM crops.
When people don't want that, then we mustn't push it through. To this day, it hasn't been proven that genetic engineering is really harmless. There are serious studies which claim genetically modified corn causes allergies and so forth. So we traditionalists are erring on the side of caution and saying, we don't need it today. The population doesn't want it, the farmers don't want it, and so we don't need it.
The saying goes, a barking dog never bites. But during the election campaign, Hubert Aiwanger barked loud and long. He was so successful, the Free Voters will now have to prove they can do things differently while remaining true to their roots.
Sure, you're subject to various constraints when you work in Parliament, but I can still change more there than by locking myself up at home because I'm afraid of the consequences. I could stay home and play cards or go bowling, and then I wouldn't have been co-opted, but I wouldn't have changed anything either. I have to accept the risk of being co-opted in order to change things. We'll try to remain independent.
Aiwanger and his Free Voters captured more than 10% of the vote in Bavaria. Here in Landshut, Lower Bavaria, they did even better. 2 of their 3 local representatives in the state parliament are Free Voters. The other is from the CSU. It's a vote of confidence for the Free Voters, or maybe rather a display of mistrust in the CSU.
I don't really know what the Free Voters' political line is. They're too intangible.
We'll have to see if they can do anything. In the city parliaments and as mayors they've been successful, but whether they can do the same in the state parliament, well, we'll have to see what happens.
Some things are bound to change. Let's wait and see.
Hubert Aiwanger and his Free Voters have certainly changed the status quo in Bavaria. Now they're hoping to steal voters away not just from the CSU, but also from its sister party, the Christian Democrats. Maybe as early as 2009, during Germany's next general election.